flows back, and so your whole body's like tingly, and at the same time I'm like saying my affirmations or thinking them, and then you do the breathing and arm pumping and stuff, and you get all this oxygen flow, and like you're just stoked to get through the day. You're just like naked getting out of the shower. You just want to go sit down at your desk right away and just just get after it. Or go to work breakfast, or whatever you happen to do. I go and sit down at my desk. So just, that sounds so lame. You just like get super pumped up. And let's go, let's get after it. And you sit down, just click, 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 click. God. All right.
Welcome to Successful Dropout. This community is for the outliers, the innovators, the rebels, those who dare to defy the status quo, step off the conveyor belt, and claim the best version of their life. I'm your host, Kylon Gienger. Welcome to the movement that is Successful Dropout.
All right. Do the Tony Robbins thing with your arms.
You need to blow your nose.
Yeah, every time. I don't know how he does that without like
slinging snot everywhere,
blowing snot rockets out of his face. And it specifically has to be done with your nose.
Yeah, it's Kapalabhati breathing.
Kapala what?
Kapalabhati breathing. It's yoga breathing.
Okay, yeah. Well, why can't I do it with my mouth, though?
You can go...
That's what she said.
Wow. If you do it with your mouth, go like this.
Why the whistle? Are you supposed to whistle?
No, it's just me. No, it's not a whistle. It's just supposed to be a fast inhale, exhale.
I know this is an audio program here, so essentially what you're doing is you're holding your hands up above your head,
like goalposts.
Like goalposts, or like hands up, don't shoot, sort
Cactus
of thing.
Arms. Oh
Cactus arms.
Freeze.
Yeah, freeze, and then you're pumping them up and down. Well, you
on the exhale you pump down. On the inhale you reach up.
Yeah. And this is supposedly this is something Tony Robbins does every morning. And I take cold showers every morning, and I'll do it like in the shower after it's cold, after I turn it back to warm. And
you're so extreme.
Well,
doing it at the
I'm
same
just saying,
time.
I've been doing it like it's like, oh dang it, I just been yeah, we can no, that recorded. Sorry, that would be my recording engineer's fault. AKA me.
you.
I've been doing it. It seems really stupid. It looks silly and pointless, but it kind of like works.
Like
it gets you like stoked for the day.
It
gets
does.
you warmed
so
up. Yeah.
The yoga side of it, the Kapalabhati breathing, it's called skull shining breath. So you're doing this rapid inhale and exhale, and it's supposed to be like lighting up parts of your brain because you're bringing fresh oxygen to it in such a concentrated way. So it's supposed to actually be really good for the brain cells.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can see it because and then the cold shower too, or the hot, the cold. I mean, your blood is like flowing.
It's kind of shocking the body and shocking the brain all at the same time.
And so I guess, I mean, this was supposed to be about a different subject, but our routine is sort of we work out and then jump in the shower, start out hot, turn it to cold for, a few minutes. Get really, really cold, and all that blood is, it's just the blood flow is incredible. It's almost like a drug. It's nuts. Not that I've done a lot of drugs, but
wow.
if I had to equate it to an experience, that would probably be it, because it's like it's this rush. All the blood is flowing to your internal organs to protect them and leaving your extremities. Right. And then when you turn it back to hot, all the blood flows back, and so your whole body's like tingly, and at the same time I'm like saying my affirmations or thinking them, and then you do the breathing and arm pumping and stuff, and you get all this oxygen flow, and like you're just stoked to get through the day. You're just like naked getting out of the shower. You just want to go sit down at your desk right away and just
Dang.
Just get after it. Or, go to work breakfast. Or whatever you happen to do I go and sit down at my desk. So that sounds so lame. You're just like get super pumped up. Let's go. Let's get after it. And you sit down, just click, 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 click. God. All right. We should probably get to what we're actually going to talk about, which is relationships. So, long story short, I've gotten over the last several weeks, and I haven't gotten questions about this really before. It's just been the last couple weeks, really. Questions about...
And I even got one, too.
Did you?
I did.
Well, we didn't include that on the document.
No, she commented.
Oh, gotcha. I've been getting questions about relationships, about Taze and my relationship, about marriage. We got married young at 21 years old. We're both 28, so we've been married for about 7.5 years now. Gotten asked questions about dating and all sorts of stuff. Work-life balance and, what's it like to work with your spouse, that sort of thing. So, and then we posted in the Facebook group and asked if we should do an episode on this, and got a great response. So
with some awesome questions too.
Yeah, so we've got a couple glasses of wine, a mic, 2 chairs, and
settle in, everyone.
We're gonna settle in and do this.
It's gonna be like 5 hours long.
Nah, I mean maybe.
Maybe.
But so I haven't really actually read through all these questions we got, but I'm certain we can make some good content out of it.
So good.
We could go ahead and start with...
You just start from the top and bottom? Or go down to the bottom?
Yeah, we can start. Let's start from the top. So...
that's just right into it, huh?
Yeah, so the first question we're getting here, and these are from members in the Successful Dropout Facebook group. If you're not a member, come join us. That's where we all hang out. We have a blast and encourage each other, share our successes, our frustrations. And there's some really kick-ass individuals in there, a lot of whom asked some of these questions. And so, let's get into it. So, how do you handle high-stress situations together? How do you break news? For example, your Bitcoin getting stolen. This person's obviously been listening to the show for a while. Actually, I know who asked this. He's an incredible individual.
Bitcoin getting stolen.
He might end up being on the podcast eventually as well.
Oh, that'd be fun.
For those of you who don't know, there's an episode not too long ago, back in August, that got released. I lost about how much was it now? 2? Yeah, about
3,000.
No, it was 2. Well, yeah, then it was, but back then it was 2 Bitcoin essentially. I lost, which would be worth anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 at this point. And so I got hacked, and it was this long thing. Long story short, I was just being really stupid, and I've gotten a lot smarter now, and I'm back in the crypto space, pretty hardcore. But it was a decent chunk of money at the time. At the time, it was almost 9,000 that we had lost, and almost little, like half of that was money that we had invested, and then the rest was sort of profit we'd earned, but kind of lost it all in the space of like 3 days and found out. And so that was kind of a high stress situation. I felt like it was more so for me than you, but I don't know. What was it like being in your shoes when you got a call like that? Married 7 years at that point, 7 years and 1 month.
Well, okay, I think the important thing to say is that in the last 7 years and 1 month, we have gone through a lot of really high stress situations together that have true. Kind of built up our tolerance. So honestly, when I got that phone call, you were like, "Hey babe, I've got some bad news. I lost $3,000 of money or of crypto," and I was like, "Oh no!" Like, what happened? I don't know. It wasn't. I mean, it was a shock.
What were the thoughts that went through? What was your initial thought? Not what you said to me, but what was your? Do you remember the first thing you thought?
It was more just like, shoot, that sucks, but it's only money.
Shoot, that sucks.
That sucks. But if I think back to like when we were first dating or like when we were first married, that probably would have been way, way more stressful because, at that time.
Yeah, because when we were first married, we had
no money and
we had like $1,000 of savings.
Yeah, exactly. So to lose $3,000 and you're newly married, you don't know like how the other person handles stress, so you don't know how like you don't know how to like gauge the situation together as a couple. Like you're still trying to figure the other person out too, to where like it was. I think at that point, like if this would have happened when we were first married, it would have been way more stressful. But we have gone through so much together, like high stress situations, to where like our quote unquote stress level is like super stinking high. Like someone could drop a I don't know, some kind of bomb on us and we'd be like, okay, like how do we move through this?
But I mean, even just back in August, that was a decent chunk of our savings.
Money, yeah.
It wasn't we'll still be able to survive and pay the bills, but it still stung, But I don't know, maybe think back to all I remember from that moment was I had a terrible day that day. I had lost, not only 3,000 plus of my own, cash that I put into the market, but an extra,
right,
$5,000-$6,000 that I thought was profit, and I'd be able to, reinvest on top of that. Right. And so I had a really bad day. I remember calling you, and you could obviously hear I was frustrated, and so I remember you seemed super, super calm. I don't know if you remember the conversation, but you were just like, well, what else are you doing today? What's on your to-do list? It was just like not a big deal. And it was good because it balanced me out in that moment, which is, I think, something else we've learned to sort of naturally fall into. Is like when one person is feeling really stressed or crazy, the other person sort of takes the balancing out role, takes the opposite role, the role of it's going to be okay, you're calming, and that's actually translated over to our various business partners too, just in the businesses. True. One person could be freaking out that day, and everybody's sort of,
it's cool, we're gonna make it till tomorrow.
And the next day you're freaking out, and they're like, no, it's gonna be fine, man. I guess let's think back to the beginning of our relationship. What were some things, do you remember, that happened towards the beginning that were kind of this kind of stress level, but we weren't as experienced?
Well, I mean, this wasn't even like in the beginning stages of our marriage. This was just like a year and a half ago when you wanted to invest our personal money into a house flip. And we were in the drive-thru of the juice bar, remember? And Shalane was there. And you were like, we're going to do this, babe. And I was like, no, we're not, because we don't have the money. And you're like, no, we're going to do this. And Shalane was just standing there watching us like go back and forth.
I remember that. I had totally
that to me was like a high stress situation. And we're trying to buy this house, but we're like, we can only buy it with this money because that isn't ours, like investor money. We're not going to put any of our personal money into it because we were in we were about to be transitioning into moving, and so we were trying to keep all of our savings and stuff. And we were basically at the title company, and the guy was like, it's going to be an extra $3,500. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to go to the bank. I'll be right back. And I was like, what the heck? No, we're not. We're not going to the bank. We're not going to be right back. This is our money.
That's right. Oh, because we were at the auction. We were buying a foreclosure at auction, and those are cash.
Yeah.
And I had raised the funds to buy it at the, and you kind of have to, I mean, you can take an educated guess, but you can kind of figure out sort of what it's going to go for.
Yeah.
And I'd raised those funds, but it ended up being 35, or was it 5,000? I think it was 5,000.
Maybe it was 5,000.
It's 5,000 more.
Yeah.
And so.
And at that point, we were like living off of our savings because we were in this transition period, and that was like a big chunk, not a big chunk, but that was like a chunk of our savings that could get us through the next few months, and I was freaking out a little bit, but
that's very true. I do remember that, but because I did that, we ended up getting the house.
It's true. And we made a lot more money.
Because we made some good money from it.
We made real good money from that house.
You gotta take those risks.
It's
sometimes.
True. But
it was all very. I will say it was all very calculated on my part. I think of everything, but
here's the deal. I think of everything too, but this is the thing. You have to be able to communicate it in an effective way to make your partner, i.e. me, feel confident about the situation too, which you're like really, really good about.
Yeah,
There's only like a handful of times in our marriage that you've been like, oh, here we go. And I'm like, what the frick?
This particular situation, I had raised the money the night before the auction. Like, I had found the house or decided to bid on it like a week prior. So it was like, everything had to happen like immediately. And so I just make decisions without really telling you, but I'm glad it worked out.
There are only like a handful of decisions that you've done that for.
Yeah. I mean, early on, like before we were married, I didn't have a job, remember? And we had like $1,000 or less in savings, and we didn't have a place to live.
That was a week before we got married.
Like a week before we got married. So even prior to getting married, we were like, and
we kind of just fly by the seat of our pants.
Not all. I mean, we're pretty good at planning.
We're really good at planning, but then there's a point where it's kind of like, well, we're just gonna see how it goes.
Because at that point, you'd kind of dropped out of school, hadn't you? I mean, because you went to school and then you left, and then you went back and then you left, and you were kind of in transition. I was like in this weird in between. I had a really good job though. Yeah, I mean, but at that point, like, neither of us had degrees. Like, I had dropped out. We were working, like, minimum wage jobs, which minimum wage back then, which was not that long ago. I mean, we're not that old, but it was, 2010. Yeah, it was like, I was working for $9 an hour. I made, like, $1,200 a month, which is, we could survive on. Like, and honestly, like, we could survive on that pretty well. Like, if both of us were working minimum wage, we could probably... I don't know if anybody listened to my episode with Stephen Worley on the Life Skills That Matter podcast. Oh, yeah. But we kind of went into our finances a bit, and I shared sort of what we live off of month to month still, and it's very, very similar 7 years later to what we lived off of when we were first married. So I won't throw a number out there. You'll just have to go listen to the episode to find out. But
that's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty frugal, but yeah, I mean, it was. But okay, but even now, you got to be a united front.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
On it. And so the times when we've clashed have been times when I've made some snap decisions without really consulting her and stuff. But even in those moments, which came later on in our marriage, like, to be fair, we were able to. You have to be at a point where you can trust the other person. You have to be able to respect and trust the other person enough to go through those situations where they might have had to make a snap decision without you, and just be like, all right, this is, like, I trust you, and here we go, that sort of thing.
Because keep in mind, like, this whole, like, with the house, that whole, like, scenario went down. We found out it was going to be about $5,000 more. We had to go to the juice bar for something, and so we're in the drive-thru. We have our back and forth, like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no thing. And then, like, we go to the bank. We go to the bank right after that, get the check, and then go back and, like,
because the auction guy, I had won the bid, but I didn't have the money. I had won the bid, but I was like, actually, I'm $5,000 short, but I can go get the money right away. And the guy was like, all right. And so, but literally 5 minutes after I left, he started texting me, like, where are you? Where are you? Like, we need to make this happen now. And so that whole day, I'm like, we're going to get the cash. And he's texting me, and Tay's mad at me.
That whole day, baby, it was like 40 minutes.
It felt like a long time.
It wasn't that long. It was like 40 minutes long. So, like, the other thing, too, is just, again, with, like, the trusting the other person, you have to be able to get to the point where you're like, okay, I trust you, and then move on. And, like, keep going.
Yeah. Speaking of moving on, we should probably move on to the next question.
Yeah, we gotta get through this.
Can you get things done in the same room? I don't know that I could. So this is an interesting one, because when I was a young lad.
Oh, wow.
And I still am.
A young lad?
I'm in my,
Why would you say lad?
Mid to late 20s. I don't know.
Okay,
when I was before I was really dating much and kind of looking for that that girl, I guess, one of my criteria whenever I'd hang out with a girl would be, could I spend 2 weeks locked alone in a room with nobody but her, and at the end of those 2 weeks come out okay and like come out alive, feeling good about it, and
wanting
maybe,
to spend more time. Yeah,
maybe even wanting to spend more time. Like, it was like, if you were just locked in a room alone with this person, just you and them, maybe a couple chairs or something like that, and you just had to like interact with them and talk with them and just be with them for 2 weeks straight, nothing else. Would it like drive you up the wall? And you can sort of, when you start getting to know somebody, you can sort of think of this scenario in your head, and it's
based on how they act,
based on how just a couple hours with them goes. And Tay was one of the first that I realized, like, yeah, like I could actually do this. I could lock myself in a room with her for 2 weeks, have a great time, come out not only like feeling good about it, but being a better person and probably wanting to go right back in. And so that was sort of that was some criteria that I had used. And then I talked about that with you later, and you'd sort of affirmed, like, yeah, I could do that with you too. And so I guess
I could do that
has sort of solved the potential issue of having to work in the same room, which technically we don't. I mean, we work in adjacent rooms right now.
It's because I don't have a desk in this room.
Right, yeah.
I sit at the counter.
We probably would, but no, it would work out if we did work in the same room, which we do, frequently, just not in our house when we go other places.
It's true.
Like, it works really well, and since we're
like right there, like your chair is like less than 5 feet away from my chair. Like
I could blow and she could probably feel it.
So it's basically like we're working in the same room. But I will say this, like, although that is true and that's very sweet, thank you. You do shut the door on me a lot.
Right, yeah, that's true.
It's because I like to sing and I like to talk when I work, and I don't get, like, that doesn't take me away from my task. Like, that doesn't distract me. I can talk to people and I can, like, do multiple things at a time and still get my crap done. But Kylon has to be, like, really, like, zoned in and focused and, like, no distractions except for screamo music, which is insane to me. And so
she
sometimes
doesn't really like it. So
and so sometimes whenever I'm like singing or I'm like trying to talk to him or like show him this meme that I found in between my work time.
Yeah, which you do that all the time, and I don't think you realize how much it throws me off track. Guys are so like, you're on just one train of thought, and if you do anything, it derails us for like a good 5 minutes till I have to find that groove
funny.
again.
Like, the one today was so funny.
It was a little funny, but
you laughed. You laughed.
Yes, but
anyways, so there are times where you shut the door on me.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just, everybody has different work styles too. And there's like times I have to record, or I'm on a phone call, or I'm writing or something, and I just have to be completely zoned in. And so I put in headphones or some loud music or something and just shut everybody else out. But
I don't take it
it's
personally.
just because I have to sort of elevate my work to a certain level for a certain amount of time, not necessarily because I can't work, around you or anything like that. So
no, that's true.
I mean, everybody is different,
just 'cause I can get distracted.
But to answer that question, finally, it would be like, if you ended up with somebody long term that met that criteria, like you could be in a room that long with them and stuff, then it means you could work in the same room with them. That's just the way it would go, and you'd see them not as somebody who would be a potential distraction, but somebody who is basically a teammate in a united front with you and helping you work through things. And since we both run our various businesses, then we're on the same page, and we can sort of dialogue back and forth and ask for input and, get inspiration from each other, etc. So,
but I know some people that don't, or that can't do that. There's some couple friends that we have that work together, like Riley and Paige, and then there's some that just can't do it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with not being able to work together. It just depends on the personality. It does depend on the personality, for sure. I would argue, though, it is a lot more fun working with your spouse.
Oh, totally.
But I don't think you're like a bad person or whatever. Anyways. How do you guys prioritize together? I'm not sure about y'all's details. This person is definitely from Texas. I'm just gonna throw that one out.
Is
or,
he? She?
Wait, no.
She?
I think he's from Colorado. Why are you saying y'all, man?
It's okay. I say y'all sometimes too.
I'm not sure about y'all's details, but say one starts to want kids, but one wants to wait 4 years. Yeah, so we're actually dealing with this currently, except for the 4 years thing. Well, okay, so yeah,
it's like a couple months off.
No, we haven't decided.
I'm just saying, wow.
Well, I don't want to broadcast our plans to the entire world.
For real, our parents listen to this.
Like, there's
we're not pregnant.
Thousands of people that listen to this. I don't want.
Okay, but our parents listen to this.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Yeah, we've definitely differed a bit in that. I mean, for the most part, I would say in the grand scheme of 7.5 years, we've pretty much been on the same page as like, no, we don't really want to have kids yet. Yeah. But now we're actually, we're in our mid to late 20s.
Are we in our mid-20s anymore?
We're 28 years old, and we're getting to the point where, like, if we're going to have kids, this is kind of when we should do it. And we're legit getting more excited about the idea. And so come to find out, surprise, Tay is a lot more excited to have kids, like, right now than I am, and I want to wait, like, a little longer.
I go back and forth on that, though. And you have to clarify, my excitement is because I get excited about just, like, the kind of children that we're going to raise based on the values that we have right now. Yeah, no. It's not about, like, I want to dress my kid in, like, a certain flower bow or something like that. No, it's like, I legit get excited about the responsibility that having a child would be, and, like, raising them to be, because I know I'm going to have sons, and so I get most excited about raising sons, I think, because I want to raise up, like, strong men, like, high caliber men, like their dad. Oh my God. And so that is the aspect I get, like, most stoked about. And that's the part that gets me, like, yeah, let's have kids now, because I know that we're going to raise these high caliber children.
But again, I think.
But then I, like, look at my goals for the juice bar in the studio and all that we have to do, and I'm like, oof.
So again,
not right now.
it's all about communication, and so we do talk about it frequently, and
more frequently,
and community. Yeah, we've talked about it throughout the years, and this last, the last 12 months or so, we've started talking about it more and more, and we're sort of coming to an agreement on, this is maybe the season when we'd start trying for kids. And so I guess to answer the question, it'd be all about communication. Yeah. And then but also a large part of that is we are doing a lot of things together. Like we're involved in, like, different entities. Like I run the things I run. Tay runs the yoga studio and the juice bar, and I'm not as involved there. But we're building businesses, and we're very much sort of in the same vocation, and so we share a lot of things, and so our lives are sort of progressing at the same rate, and we both feel that, and so it's really easy to sort of come to an agreement. It's not like you're still in school or something, and your career's barely taking off, and my career is matured already, and we're sort of at different stages there. We're at a very similar stage in life, and so it's really easy to come to an agreement, like, okay, kids are probably in the near future. So
right, that makes sense.
Hopefully that helps. Next question. My current girlfriend isn't a dropout. Oh, that is the worst.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. She doesn't understand a lot of it, but is supportive. That's good. Any advice for kids like me?
What advice do you have for him, babe?
My current girlfriend isn't a dropout. She doesn't understand a lot of it, but is supportive. Well,
I think that's the most important thing you could ask for.
Yeah, that she's supportive, but I would, if she doesn't understand a lot about it, I would ask that of her to try to understand more, and then you, of course, need to be willing to help her understand more. Get her in the Successful Dropout group, or have her listen to the podcast, or any of the other resources that we sort of aggregate in the community.
That's one of our standards too.
Because again, in our standards, those are things we'll definitely need to go over that before the podcast is over. That's something that's just important. Like, if you're seriously dating somebody and thinking about marrying them, you need to always be working to communicate and get on the same page in everything, especially like major life decisions and directions and like initiatives you're taking.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you're gonna start a business, or you're dropping out of school, or you're making these big life decisions, you have to communicate with them, and they have to be on board, and they have to understand why you're doing it. And so you have to communicate enough to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to, one, understand, and two, get on board and support the other person. And if those two things aren't happening, if they're not able to communicate and understand and then get on board and support you, that to me would be a huge red flag that they're probably not somebody you want to spend the rest of your life with, because life, there's a lot of years packed into, there's a lot of time packed into, 70, 80, 90, 100 years, however long you'll live. And
that's true.
Spending, if your goal is to, like us, spend the rest of your lives together, you're going to have those skills early on, because there's a lot of different decisions you're going to make throughout life, and transitions, and just big things are going to happen, and you've got to be able to communicate, get on board, and support the other person no matter what, and get involved yourself. That's a huge thing, is to, whatever the other person is interested in or pursuing, to be also interested in that. And you don't have to necessarily pursue it to the degree that they are, but you have to take a dang interest, and you have to understand where they're coming from. You have to make that effort. And so that's something we'll get into more later with our standards.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you and Teliah done long distance? So I'll let you take this one.
Have we done long distance? We were long distance for a very good portion of the beginnings of our relationship.
We own long distance.
We do. Pretty much all of our dating time, which we dated for 10 months before he proposed. So for that 10 months, we were long distance. Long distance at that point being about a 2.5-hour drive. And so we'd really only see each other on the weekends. And then I moved to where he was, and then we got engaged. We were together during that time. And then about like a year into our marriage. And then that's when you were in the military. And then we were very long distance for about 10 months, where we were living apart for 10 months, and I would only be able to go see him one weekend a month, if that. And that was after like basic.
But we also didn't communicate very much.
Training.
Like, there was
we didn't
not very many phone calls.
I didn't know when you would be able to call me next, or like even really text me next. I literally had my phone glued to my hand during that time, but I didn't, that was very, very much long distance. So yeah, we've done long distance.
Yeah. And I guess that was, I don't know if there's any way to prepare for that. Like, it was,
no, there's not.
It definitely sucked. And to be clear, like, when we first became friends, even before we were dating,
we were long distance at that point too.
I had made it very clear to her that I was really interested in the military, and this was probably something I was going to pursue. So from the moment we were friends to dating to engaged to married, she knew about this sort of pursuit that I
lifestyle that you wanted. Yeah.
And so it didn't come as like a shock, and she had time to, we both had time to, prepare for it. I think it's a little bit easier for me, and it was a little bit easier for me as a guy to just do that, to be away for longer periods of time and stuff. It wasn't always easy, but you're just going so much all the time with what I was doing that you just don't have time to sort of reminisce and miss and think, whereas we're basically back at home, and you had your job, I know, and you kind of threw yourself into that. And
I worked like a freaking maniac.
Your friends.
I did like split shifts every day.
Yeah, we definitely made more money during that period. I remember that.
Yeah, we did.
Is that Olive Garden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all those tips.
Oh, yes. And the best part about her working at Olive Garden was she would bring
the Andes mints.
Yeah, she would bring the little mints, that you get when you're done with your meal. You get like 1 mint each, and they're just so stingy with it. You're just like, you get 1 mint. And sometimes they don't give enough mints for everybody at the table. And
we literally had like a bowl of mints in our freezer for the longest time.
Freaking just bowl to me. And we just sit there. So every meal I'd have like 4 or 5 mints, and I would just feel like a freaking king, man. Like,
I'd always smell like breadsticks.
You should go work at Olive Garden again.
Yeah, let's do that for sure.
Oh my god.
No thanks.
Yeah, so long distance does sort of suck, and there is no telling.
But I will say this: like, our ability to communicate effectively with each other was, I think, really honed in because of our long distance.
Yeah, that got tested, and
that got tested
honed in because
we would have very limited time to talk with each other, and you know, like, I don't know, like you had to cover like all the important basis and like all the things that you kind of, at least in our scenario, because you were military and because they weren't very long phone calls most of the time, it was kind of like all the like little petty things that you could think about, or like, at least for me, where I'd be like, you didn't get to talk to me yesterday, or like you didn't text me yesterday, like it kind of all just fell away because it wasn't the most important thing, and that was just connecting with you in that short period of time and making sure that you knew I loved you and that I was supporting you and I was here for you and all that stuff, and then you doing the same for me. And
but you know what it was too? It was an opportunity to put your own sort of your own crap aside, like your own needs.
Yeah,
which
for
again,
sure.
That crap is the wrong word for that. Like, it was an opportunity. It was an opportunity to put your own needs and wants aside, because time was so short when we could see each other or communicate. It was all about benefiting and encouraging the other person. So with Tay, it was telling me like, you can do it, you've got this, because the training was very hard. And for me, it was telling Tay like, you can do it, you've got this, because it sucks having to live alone.
Right.
By yourself, and without your husband there, and then also we had various friends and family sort of questioning even my decision to. I mean, we were a year married, and I shipped off to boot camp, and so just some of the criticism and stuff like that, fun. and like that's a real opportunity for you guys both to like step up and prove,
really be selfless,
and prove what kind of spouse you are, and really be selfless. Sure. And if you can get to that moment where you're both supporting each other, like you're both sort of giving up your own needs and wants to support each other and encourage each other, then it really balances out, and then all of a sudden you're both also getting what you need and what you want, which is encouragement and love and sort of affirmation. And so it just works out beautifully. Whereas if you have one person who's like, I need and I want this, and you have the other person who's just encouraging, or you're both like, I need and I want this, you're just you're sucking all the air out of the room, all the love out of the room, all the you're it's very unbalanced and one-sided, and it's not constructive, and your relationship is just gonna suffer because of that. So
for sure.
Long distance. So
it's good to reminisce about that one.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing up. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, these are some longer comments that I just copied and pasted, so we'll go through these. I believe we attract where we're at. I'm pretty clear on what I want in a spouse, but sometimes I become frustrated with myself for not being at the same level. Whether spiritually, physically, professionally, mentally, etc. I'm constantly seeing myself becoming pickier and pickier at the same time, which I think is because of my growth. I'd be curious to hear details on the beginning stages of your relationship and where you both were in the process during that time.
Whoa.
Well, what do you think?
That's a deep one.
Yeah, it is.
I'm constantly seeing myself become pickier and pickier.
I'm pretty clear on what I want in a spouse, but sometimes I become frustrated with myself. Let's take this one step at a time.
Okay.
I'm pretty clear on what I want in a spouse, but sometimes I become frustrated with myself for not being at the same level, whether spiritually, physically, professionally, mentally. So I'm pretty clear on what I want in a spouse. Like, I would say we both were. Like, we both actually had, and you know, I would say this is helpful to do, actually. Like, I had written down, I loosely kept a journal back then. I don't do it so much now, but loosely I kept a journal, and I had written down, these are the sort of things that I want in a spouse.
Well, it's like what we do now with our goals. Like, you write it down. It's what you're trying to attract, right? So I definitely think that's beneficial for people to figure out what qualities and characteristics you want in a future spouse.
I would encourage anybody listening, if you haven't already, I would get out a pen and a piece of paper or a blank document and just start typing stuff down that you want in a spouse. And, like, be pretty, like... I mean, you can even go as far as, like, how tall you want them, what you want them to look like. I mean, really, if you're not dating anybody right now and it's sort of open to you, then feel free, like, add all the criteria you want. And it's maybe rare that you would find somebody that meets, like, 100% all of it.
But you never know.
You'll see sort of the big things, like, you know, with Tay and some of the, just the non-negotiable. You'll categorize into sort of, this is what I wish for, and this is, like, non-negotiables and stuff like that.
And, like, the non-negotiables, like, for me anyways, there weren't, like, any physical non-negotiables. I just wanted him to be smoking hot, which... Hello.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on... Yeah, anyways, I would encourage anybody to do that. Yeah, a little bit. But, so sometimes I become frustrated with myself for not being at the same level, whether spiritually, physically, professionally, mentally.
So same level as the other person?
As what you're...
Or the other person not
wanting.
being on the same level as this person?
Well, they say become frustrated with myself for not being at the same level of the kind of spouse you desire. So that, you know... I would turn that frustration just into fuel, honestly.
I think the biggest thing, if you're frustrated with not being at a certain level, then how can you get to that level?
Yeah, like that's good.
Pursue
like that
your own growth. That's a good thing.
Is good. I would just recategorize that in your mind as not as something you're frustrated about, but as something that you're driving you.
Yeah, for sure.
And in a good way, sort of pressuring you to become the kind of person that you want to be for your future spouse, really. Yeah. So that I think is actually a good thing.
I think that's the most important thing. It's not so much like you're focusing on getting a spouse of this certain level, but it's more about, like, you're pushing yourself to become this certain level to attract that future spouse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I'm constantly seeing myself becoming pickier and pickier at the same time, which I think is because of my own growth. Yeah, again, that is true. It's the more you grow and the more you sort of progress and mature in life.
That you want someone at that same level.
Like, well, and the more you're just going to sort of narrow down what you want.
Yeah.
You know, so that just makes sense. I'd be curious to hear details on the beginning stages of your relationship and where you both were in the process during that time. Well, we could go into that quite a bit, but I will say... The beginning stages of your relationship. So the beginning stages were, I was a senior in high school, you were a freshman in college. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it was even before that. You came up from Colorado to Washington State to visit.
Some mutual friends.
That's where we sort of met. We exchanged numbers and started texting, and we basically
on my flip phone.
I had a blackjack.
Yeah, you did.
Anybody listening? I don't know if you remember. Probably not. Yeah, pre-iPhone.
Back when there was MySpace.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was like when MySpace was just getting started too. Mm-hmm. But we just started texting. Nonstop, and it wasn't about anything crazy, and we really, like, neither of us were the kind of people like even back then, like, sexting and like you couldn't text images. That wasn't a thing, you know. So, like, we didn't really do. It was all, like, very.
It was very clean.
Yeah, it was very clean. Honestly, like, some of our really good friends, like, started dating and marrying their spouses later. Now that we're finding out, like, they were, like, sending these crazy pictures and, you know, stuff like that.
We couldn't even
and it's
send
like,
pics.
Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't even do that. So it was very clean, but we were constantly texting from, like, morning till night. It was like good morning and good night, were texts that came back and forth.
Yeah.
And
very
that
sweet.
eventually we ended up going to school again, me in high school, her in college, in the same city. But her friends and then my family were also in the same city, but that was 2.5 hours away. And so I had the car, and so we would ride 2.5 hours back and forth.
One way, 2.5 hours. It's like 5 hours.
Just one way? Yeah, both ways. So like 5 hours every other week or so. And so you're confined to like a very small space. It was a Honda Accord with another person for 5 hours. And you really get to know that person. So we
always had fun.
We had a lot of fun. Like that was when we really started to get to know each other. And it's just you spend that kind of time with somebody, you really get to know them. And so that is really that was the catalyst that led to a deeper relationship and dating and stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember during that time too, like in relation to this question, I remember being really encouraged by you because you were at a different place in a lot of these different areas that I wanted to be at. And so I remember being really encouraged by you to kind of step up my game and really hone those different areas of my life that I needed to take care of.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like especially the big one for me was the mentally one. Like you were the one that encouraged me to go to counseling and like work through a lot of things that I needed to work through from a younger age.
Right.
And so I mean, I think it's all your viewpoint. Like you can view it as being really frustrated for not being at this certain level or a certain place, or you can view it as just like an encouragement to get there and to push yourself.
So you might have been in the position that this individual feels like, where you have this sort of high standards for the spouse you want, but you don't feel like you meet those standards yourself. Yeah, yeah. I could see that. But the thing with me observing Tay in those early days, because I realized like she had come from, a bit of a different background, and she had, I think, more just crap to work through than I did. One of the things that I noticed that really impressed me was just her drive to figure that all out and fix herself and sort of get back into this healthy mindset.
Yeah, healthy state of mind.
Healthy state of mind.
Emotionally too.
Emotionally, yeah.
Yeah.
So I could observe that. I could observe like, yes, she was at like a different level, and of course at this point we're still friends. But that's what's so valuable about being friends as long as we were, is we were able to observe each other in these different situations. I was able to observe her working through a lot of this crap and seeing her resilience and seeing her thrive sort of in the face of this adversity. It was like, well, crap, like this is a
tough gal.
This is a tough gal, right?
Yeah.
Like she might be worth marrying someday.
Hey.
So yeah,
good.
yeah.
Next question?
Yeah. How do you maintain boundaries with work and your personal life? Also, I'd love to hear about how you both share your personal growth and goals with each other, and what that looks like for you with the ups and downs of serious commitment. Love this, BTW. Well, thank you. I love it too. How do you maintain boundaries with work and personal? So, do we have any boundaries?
Not really. And I think that's because, like, I think before when we first started the businesses, we really tried hard to, like, have these boundaries between work and personal, especially since we work from home. And, and I know some people really need to, like, leave the work at the door in the office and, like, say la vie and then go into their personal life. But I think that we just, because we're so involved in our businesses and because we love them so much, like we honestly love the work that we do, that it's going to carry over into our personal life anyways. And so I remember we would try to not carry it over into our personal life, and it just felt like there was this big aspect missing, and like we were almost hindering ourselves in like our conversation because we would try not to talk about work when we really like legitimately wanted to talk about it because we love it and we wanted to share with the other person like what we did all day and stuff. So I don't know. We don't really have a whole lot of boundaries with that.
Yeah, and how would you maintain boundaries? Again, I think I think it's just all about communication and setting some expectations, and then
that's true.
Making that happen. But
that's true. So, and with that though, like there are certain things that like I communicate with you that I like to have throughout the day sometimes, where like face-to-face time where we just take like 5 minutes in the middle of the day or at the end of the day to just like no phones, no computers, no nothing, and we just like sit there, or we lay on our bed just like looking at each other and saying hello, because we've been working all day, and so it's kind of like a hey, how are you, like how you feeling kind of thing. So I mean, there's certain things that we do like that help to maintain the personal aspect of it, because we do work from home.
Okay, so yeah, and then
what about you?
Yeah, I mean, the question could go a few different ways. It's like, how do you maintain boundaries with work and personal? I mean, for us, like you said, our work just sort of bleeds into every other part of our life. Yeah. And we like it that way because we like the work that we do. If that's not the case, and you do want this sort of clean separation between work and then the rest of your life, or your personal sort of space, then that's just something you gotta communicate about. What
about our personal growth and goals?
Yeah, how you both share your personal growth and goals with each other. And if you hear some random sighs and grunts in the background, that would be our beast of a dog, Sif, and she
loves to be where we are.
Yeah. Share your personal growth and goals with each other, and what that looks like for you, up and downs of serious commitment. So it's, I mean, every year we set our goals, and we sort of have a meeting between the two of us, and we sit down, we set those goals together. We take time out of a weekend or so to set those and share those. Every week we're talking about them. On Sundays is sort of when we set. And Tay's better at this than I am, but we sort of set the schedule for the week and all the goals to accomplish that week, and that's when we're sort of communicating on stuff. Tay's really good at keeping me on track with stuff as well. And
we do monthly goals.
My to-do list and monthly goals.
I do it for the businesses, so I do it for us too.
Yeah. And as far as like personal growth goes, again, like we're always just talking and stuff, and so like if I feel like I've grown personally in some area that day, it's bound to come up in our conversation at some point later that night over dinner, or like a glass of wine, or watching a movie or something like that. And we have a few like actual systems in place, I guess you could say. They're kind of systems. Like we have something called, I think I've talked about this on the show before.
Navigation Council?
No, the Awesome Jar.
Oh yeah, our Awesome Jar.
We have something called an Awesome Jar. It's just literally a jar that says awesome on it.
We put some stuff in there today.
Yeah, and we have a stack of sticky notes by it and a pen, and anything that happens that's awesome during the day or week, we just write it down and we put it in the jar. And then every year now, it's become our tradition when we
Christmas.
Well, it's when Christmas. We set goals, really. Or is it on Christmas?
Well, we looked at all of them on Christmas.
Okay, well, it's around the holidays, and then when we set goals for the next year, we break out this, and we're looking at all the awesome things, essentially, that happened over the previous year. And it's really great because it provides a lot of perspective on like where you've been and where you are now. Because sometimes it feels like you haven't made much progress during the year, and you get really frustrated at yourself. Yeah. But if you take time to reflect, and you have a system like that where you're actually looking at things you wrote down 12 months prior, it's really enlightening and like joyful to be able to read back and be like, oh my God, like one of ours this year was about this time last year, we were looking at some significant challenges with one of our businesses, and now 12 months later, or
not even 12 months later,
not even, but back in December, just a couple months ago, when we looked at that, we were like, oh crap, like this time last year we were looking at all these sort of challenges, and now that business did really well throughout 2017, and we're looking to expand it now because of that. And so it was really valuable to have that perspective, like, man, this time last year we were just so down about this, and now look where we are, and look how far we've come. And I would have never guessed that we'd see these sort of results over just like less than 12 months.
Yeah.
So I mean
that's a good feeling.
That's really helpful, and that sort of helps us, you know, share our personal growth and stuff
goals,
like that. So
for sure.
We have a comment. I know this is from House Flipping, Hot Yoga, Juice Bar, Podcast, and now Marriage and Relationship Counseling. Is there anything you guys can't do? Yes. Well,
I can't code.
If I'm being really, I mean, we're doing even more than that. It's like,
Don't.
it's crazy to think about. No, I mean, let's talk. Like, what do we do? Like, we have the yoga studio, we have the juice bar. Of course, we have this podcast and this like fantastic community, which I shoot you not. This is like what I live for. Like,
It's
successful
true.
dropout in this community. Like, it doesn't make me any money. It is like I'm not able to put as much time as I want towards it yet. That'll be coming very soon. But it is like, this is like what I live for. I love this community. I love everything it stands for. And I just want to, you know, I'm constantly driven every morning. It's like what gets me out of bed to make this huge. And you guys all being a part of the Facebook group and listening and emailing and texting and calling and Facebook messaging and Skyping and all this.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it just like
scale back on the revenue or avenues that they can connect with
make
you.
myself a little less accessible, but it just like it fires me up every time. I get so fired up amongst all the other things we're doing. But
it's true.
Yeah, yoga studio, juice bar, podcast.
House flipping. We haven't done a house in a while.
House flipping. No, we haven't done that for a while. We are looking. The goal is to look for more real estate this week. I mean, relationship and marriage counseling. It's. I hope we're doing that, but you know, I don't think of myself as that. But we are 7.5 years, very happily married. It's the best. Like, this year is shaping up to be the best year of our marriage so far. Like, it just keeps getting better and better. So
we say that about every year.
It's true, but yeah, sure, I'll take that. I could marriage counsel. Funny thing is, before we were married, we didn't go to any marriage counseling. Well, we tried it, and it was kind of BS. So
we didn't like it.
Yeah, we quit that. What else are we doing? Well, you coach personal clients. You are doing what? Private retreats and yoga training.
I have 4 yoga teacher trainings I'm doing this year.
She has 4 yoga teacher trainings. People are already...
I'm leading one, and then I'm helping co-lead the other 3.
Right. People are already signing up for that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And people are already signing up for your yoga retreats, right?
Yeah,
which is different.
A couple spots left, but...
Which is different, right?
It's different, yeah. That's more of like a relaxing, like, straight up retreat. Like, we've got a masseuse coming, and everyone gets a massage, and
so those are things you're doing. You're a self-published author.
Yeah, I did do that last year.
Yeah.
You're gonna be one this year, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. And I'm also a sort of a contract CEO.
Yeah.
For a group of online investors. We basically buy and flip websites, essentially, like you'd think, like real estate, except in the meantime, I'm the guy who steps in and basically builds the business, makes it more valuable so we can sell it.
We got some things going on.
There's a lot of
things
stuff
out there.
but there's definitely a lot of things we can't do.
I definitely, like I said before, I can't code. I don't know what that is.
But you can build WordPress.
I did build a WordPress
build
site.
Your own and all that stuff.
But we're doing the things that we can't do.
What can't I do? I can't say the alphabet backwards. I can't do double unders. Ooh. Yeah. Anybody's familiar with CrossFit will
can't
know
do double
what that
unders.
Is. What else can't I do?
I can't ride a unicycle.
Oh, hell no. No, I can't ride a unicycle either. Nor would I want to. I can't yo-yo
Here's something
very well.
I can do that not a lot of people know. I can change out electrical outlets and light switches.
She did in our last house
that
we
is
lived
like
in.
one of the biggest things I'm proud of is that I changed out all of the electrical outlets and light switches in our house that we sold last year.
It was another house we bought at foreclosure, and we lived in it and fixed it up, and then we ended up selling it for quite a profit.
I shocked myself a lot. But
yeah, and I made you do it because I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I hate
To be fair, though, he had
electricity.
to do,
I
like,
can't
all
do
the trim and, like, all the others. He was literally doing everything else, and then I just did the electrical outlets. So, it was worth it.
What else can't we do? I'm kind of proud of myself for how hard I'm trying to think of the things I can't do, because I have such a mindset of, like, I can do or become proficient at anything I really set my mind to.
Well, you can learn anything, too.
Yeah,
like, that's the important.
But
YouTube is your friend.
But there are, like, legit some things that I can't. Oh, I know. Like, I cannot, for the life of me, just like interior design and, like, having a natural knack for even, I don't know, like, being a chef or, like, making food look good, or designing a space, making it pleasant to be in, or even clothing, like, comes really, really hard for me. It's like through trial and error and then some really good relationships, I can figure out something that works, and then I stick to it. So that's why, like, my clothing, like, I pretty much wear like black sort of skinny-ish jeans, black Vans, black V-necks.
Wow, anything black?
Yeah, I just wear, like, I wear kind of the same-ish outfit. You know, it's very, I've bought the same brand of t-shirts, Arizona t-shirts from JCPenney, by the way, for like 5 years now.
What about dancing a little bit?
Dancing? Oh, I can't dance. Like, I literally can't. It is ridiculous. Like,
the guy can keep rhythm because he's a drummer. Like, he's
I can keep
so
rhythm
good at
like
keeping rhythm.
Nobody's business.
But it's like just like simple like sway of the hips, like making it look smooth and stuff. It just doesn't. And I
can even like I feel incredibly relaxed.
Yeah.
Like, I can have a couple beers or something and just be very relaxed. But even relaxed dancing for me just looks like. I look like a moron. Like, honestly,
like
I just
the
look
guys
so
that
ridiculous.
like thrash at heavy metal concerts.
Yeah, I know. But I bet you I could do the robot really well.
I bet you could.
Because I look like a robot when I dance. So if I just went full robot, people would be like, "That guy's a natural." You getting tired already?
No.
We're not even halfway done.
I'm sorry. Halfway. No,
Anyways,
I'm sorry.
there's a lot of things we can't do, but I
there is a lot of things we can do. That's very nice of you. Very sweet of you. Confidence.
We do a lot. And,
I actually did have one of our managers. So we're like transitioning these hard copy papers or like forms into an electronic file, and we have a company that does it for us for our studio and stuff. And she was so sweet. I like sent her this email and I was like, "Hey, check this out, see if there's anything you want to change." And she was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll let you know when I get off work today," and all that stuff. And I was like, "Okay, well, just let me know because I need to let the lady know." And she's like, "What lady?" And I was like, "Oh, the lady who's building this for us." And she's like, "Oh, I just assumed that you built this." And I was like, "Well, that's very sweet of you, but no."
Well, I think that is indicative.
Will not.
I think that's indicative of a larger perspective that people seem to have with us, which is that we're doing all this stuff alone, but that's not the case. Like with the juice bar and the yoga studio, for example, we have like
such a great
freaking incredible business partners landed in Kennedy Wilkinson, which they'll be on the show here in the coming months, and it's going to be it's going to be great. Yeah, and then my sister Shalane. And
we have an amazing team at both of those businesses.
Yeah, amazing team of employees and instructors,
awesome managers, and
and on my end, just with the websites and stuff, I have an amazing team of just administrators and moderators, and then with the SD group, just a bunch of really. And I did a shout out to a lot of them a week ago. Some really involved members that we're incredibly grateful for you guys, just sort of keeping things moving and keeping the vision alive and keeping momentum. So a lot of the things we're doing right now, it may seem like we're doing them ourselves, but we're not. We just have an incredible team, and if we do anything, it's more it's trying to keep, give everybody the tools they need to keep, building the various things we're building.
Couldn't do without them, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely not. we're just the ones that happen to be live and broadcasting to an audience, and so. Anyways, we'll see. Let's move on here. One topic from you personally: how do you both work to section off time to be productive and also not lose spending time together, but also keep on top of normal adult responsibilities? Relationship time management, basically, is what we're talking about. Yeah, this is a good one because, so, this is good.
Is it?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about this, more things are coming to mind because you and I feel like out of a lot of our family and friends, we're sort of like, in terms of our adult life and our adult responsibilities, we're like the irresponsible teenagers.
Are we?
I kind of think so, because I feel like when it comes to, I don't know, things like staying in a house or like
where are we at right now?
Well, I mean, we're paying on a mortgage, and like it's more like an apartment. It's more like a big apartment than anything. We downgraded from a 3 bedroom 2 bath to a 2 bedroom 1 bath, but we're in our dream location. It's true. So, and
we don't need much.
Yeah, but like we've only ever had one car for like a long time. We got medical insurance like just this last year. Okay, I don't know if I want to broadcast that, but that's the truth. I mean, okay, I had some in the military, which lasted when I was out of the military. And like, you've had dental insurance because your teeth kind of suck. It cost us a lot of money.
They really do, though. Let's be real.
I don't know. I feel like we, out of our friends, and like we haven't had kids yet. Like,
a lot of our friends don't have kids yet, though.
I guess.
There's only a few.
I'm just saying because those productive things, or the building businesses, has sort of always been our primary goal or our priority. And so a lot of the times things like, I don't know, doing the dishes or...
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me, like, especially on the days where I'm working at home, which is, 3 days out of the week normally that I'm at home working, I have to be really realistic with my list. Because if I I could let my list get really, 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 really long in regards to work. But I also know that I have to do like normal responsibilities like pay the bills, clean the house, which you help me with. But like I still have to make sure that I have time for stuff like that. And so I have to make sure my work stuff is realistic for the day. Like today, my day on my list, I only had like 4 things on my list, but one of them was getting all of our taxes together. And so that was a bigger task. I knew that was going to be a bigger task. And so realizing, okay, this is probably going to take up a good chunk of my day. I'm going to do fewer things on this end, but I have to get this done. So I think the biggest thing is just really like being realistic with your time and also not beating yourself up over being realistic. Like if you don't get a certain amount of things done on your list or something, like not beating yourself up over it because you didn't get all of that work stuff done because you needed to take care of other responsibilities. Like allowing these sections of your life, like your work section, your adult responsibility section, your relationship section, kind of be, instead of being like this stark like contrast throughout the day, like allow them to be a little bit more fluid. I've noticed that whenever I allow them to be a little bit more fluid, I normally end up less stressed at the end of the day. Yeah, that's true. And that kind of goes along with what I said earlier about our work sort of bleeds into our life. Right.
And so it's, I don't know, would you say our life is designed around our work, or our work is designed around our life? I'd say our work is probably designed around our life more. Like we have a certain lifestyle.
We still make sure we have a date night once a week.
That's what I mean.
We still make sure that we do our navigation council once a month. Like there are certain aspects of our relationship that we make sure that we take care of.
We have a certain lifestyle that we want to live, and then our work is the kind of work that we're able to just work around that
right.
with it, you know.
I think in the last year we've really really focused in, instead of like having these certain specific like work goals or business goals, like we've had more of lifestyle goals, and because of that our work and our lifestyle and everything has become more fluid, but it's how we want it to be.
Yeah.
Which is really freeing, and it's less stressful for sure.
But if you're not in a situation like that, like if you're working a 9 to 5 or anything more traditional than what we're doing, or if you don't own your own business, then you just have to adjust. You just have to adjust that. I mean, you have to kind of set some, like I know for a while there, like in our first couple of businesses, like with the painting company and stuff, like I was like out of the house and working, you know,
by
from
7.
like, you know, 7 to, you know, 5 or 6 or even later sometimes. And so it was really important that when I did get home from work, it was like all work was done, and like we were ready to focus on, you know, not just our relationship and being together, but like just normal adult responsibilities and house things and paying bills and those sort of things.
Yeah.
So you had to really put like a hard deadline there, and we had lots of discussions about that. And for me mentally, like it was hard to shut my mind off, and so I'd have to put little triggers, you know, in place, like, you know, by the time I would park and get into the house, I'd be done sort of with, you know, all the actual tasks I had to do for the day. And then mentally, it was like I would take a shower after work, and as soon as I got out of the shower, that was when I had to be done mentally, like dwelling on the work day and dwelling on work in general. And then it was all 100% engaged in our relationship and just family, home life.
Yeah, that's good. Different triggers are always really good.
So, I mean, if you have more stark differences between this is work and this is just personal life, which we just don't have that, like the lines are very blurred, and that works for us because it just works.
And I mean, even if you work at home, I know people who even work at home, but they still like to have those stark boundaries. And it's like when they cross a threshold, like a certain threshold at the end of the day, like then they're done with those, like you were saying, the trigger points, like certain threshold, they're done with blah, blah, blah. And then they hit the, you know, whatever threshold, they're done with blah, blah, blah. Or they're walking up the stairs from their downstairs office, then, you know, that kind of stuff. So you can definitely set like different triggers in place.
Right, and it can help, like for me, it's this office we're sitting in now. Yeah. I'm not really in here if I'm not working. Right. You know, and so it's if you can have like a separate actual space like in your house, or maybe another place you drive to still, sometimes that helps. Like this is where you are when you're working, and then this is where you are when you're not working, and that, like, there's a psychological thing I think there.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to like adult responsibilities, though, I was gonna mention, like, we've done a pretty good job of sort of splitting those up between us. We haven't even put much thought or strategy into it either. I've noticed we've just sort of naturally fallen into our various strengths. Like, for instance, I love doing dishes. I think this is it's probably a little weird. Like, I know it's my mom that kind of trained it into me. I just really like I can do dishes well, and I can clean well, and I enjoy doing it. And so I tend to do most of the dishes, and Tay tends to do most of the cooking, because she's sort of she's not formally trained or anything, but she's an amazing cook.
Well, thank you.
And so if we're having like a meal or something and we're going to pitch in and do that together, it's usually her cooking and me sort of doing dishes right behind her. Yeah. And it works out really well. When it comes to finances, you're typically the person that makes sure all of the bills are paid and figures out like who we owe money to, and is that getting paid, and is it getting paid on time? Yeah. And I'm sort of the guy that's thinking long term. I have, you know, a spreadsheet essentially, which is something that it's essential when you're an entrepreneur and you never know when your next paycheck is going to come. I'm the guy that's sort of planning financially. You know, here's what we have coming in, here's what we have going out. I communicate with you on that, and sort of here's the balance, and here's where we need to make more money, and what we can afford to spend, what we can't afford to spend. Yeah. And also, I usually set the budget. You know, here's for this month. This is money that's pre-spent. It's budgeted, pre-spent money for this next coming month, and this is sort of the money that's allotted to us, and then you make sure it actually gets to the appropriate places. That's true. And so it works really well. Like, I will say this, and I feel very
we both feel very, like, lucky in this. But I think it comes from just this diligence of focusing in on the finances, which I know this is a completely different topic, and we could talk about this for a whole nother hour. But because of, like, this system that we do have, even in some of our most, like, sketchy, unknown times with the businesses, like, we've never been at a place where we haven't been able to pay our bills or, like, been in a place of want because of the budgeting, because of your projections and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is because of my spreadsheets. It's
because of the spreadsheets.
It comes as a necessity, but yeah, it's like for real. We've been dang near. That was our dog again.
Dang near.
I didn't fart. We've been dang near broke, and actually broke at some points, but it's because of just some financial planning and spreadsheets and stuff, and me communicating to Tay, like, hey, this month, here's what we're looking at. Here's the money we have, what's coming in, what's going out, and here's the balance, and it's not looking very good. We want to stay in the black. We don't want to go in the red, and so this month we're going to have to take it easy. Like, we need to really cut down on our spending, make our friends pay for as many things as possible. I'm just kidding. We've never said that.
No, we've never said that.
It's just like, yeah, we gotta take it easy this month. And again, it's that constant communication. So, anyways, we should probably start wrapping it up or winding it down, and I'd like to do that by just talking about some overarching things here, which is, at the end of the day, because where we're at in marriage now, and then with what we're doing, it's like we're 7.5 years in. They say that 7 years is typically when people start getting divorced and when things start getting really tough. And then they say the first year is like the hardest. That's all a bunch of BS. But like, there's been several of our friends and acquaintances throughout the years that we've watched get married around the same time we did, and get divorced in years past and have really difficult times in their relationship, and we just haven't. It's been getting better and better, and so we started to get more and more people asking us about our relationship and what are we doing, and what is it like that it's still staying like this. And we can go to you next and say what you think. But for me, the number one thing I always come back to is that at the end of the day, we're best friends. And it might seem kind of cliche or simple, but that's what it's always come back to for me, is ever since we became friends and exchanged numbers that day and started texting, and then from there dating and engagement and marriage and stuff, we've just been really, really good friends. Because when we first met, like, I don't feel like, at least it took me a little longer to, like, maybe you realized it sooner, but it took me longer to realize that you were somebody I would want to spend the rest of my life with, and that you were somebody I was, really attracted to on, like, a physical level, and those types of things. Like, maybe guys are just a little bit more dense or whatever.
No, it's because you said, remember our bet?
What was our bet?
You told me whenever we were friends in the car one day, you were like, I bet you, Tay, that I won't get married until I'm 30 years old, because I'm going to go and do this and this and this. And you had your whole life planned out until you were 30, and then you're like, and then I'll get married. And I was like, I guarantee you're going to get married before you're like 25. To me.
But you didn't say that, though.
No, I didn't say the to me part, but I said, I bet you will get married before then, and you did.
But I'm just saying, before I realized any of that, what I did realize is that, like, I really liked this girl, and I really liked just hanging out with her and being with her on just, like, a really simplistic level. And that, and I hope, if anybody's listening, you have that sort of best friend in your life. Could be, another girl or a guy, or the same gender. It doesn't have to have necessarily been with a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but I hope you have that person in your life who you would consider to be your best friend, and you understand what a relationship like that is like. You know, you can kind of tell each other anything, trust each other implicitly, show up to each other's houses whenever you want, open each other's refrigerators and start eating each other's food and all this stuff. You're just part of the family. And like, that's what I had felt with Tay early on when we were building the base of our relationship, and that's never changed. And so throughout all the years when we've gone through, a lot of difficult things, a lot of challenges, a lot of unknowns, almost bankruptcy, multiple businesses, and just real, like, a lot of insecurity and not being sure of the future and stuff. The one thing that's always stayed consistent is this, like, we're best friends. And I feel like we should speak a little bit to communication too, because we've been talking a lot about communication and how it's important and stuff, but what does that actually look like? And it looks like this. Like, it looks like what we're doing now. It's very civil. It's very sort of give and take and back and forth and like healthy, but it looks kind of ugly sometimes too. And I think that's important for people to understand. Like,
yeah, we've definitely had some ugly conversations.
Yeah, like we have had, and I wouldn't call them like straight out fights, just like very heated disagreements. But like, yeah, we've gotten to the point where we've literally kind of started yelling at each other. Like, we're not immune to that. We're not perfect.
No.
But it's because we're yelling at each other, and we're strong-willed, and we're getting passionate about our different stances, and we're saying the things that come into our head, with the exception that we never put each other down. We never attack the person. I never, Tay's never attacked me personally. I've never attacked her personally or put her down as a person. We're always, if we disagree, we're attacking each other's ideas and conclusions and decisions and stuff like that. It's all exterior to who that person is.
Or like how they're acting or something like that.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's very, very important to understand. Like, we have had some, like, to me, that's the difference between a healthy and a non-healthy fight. We've had some gnarly fights.
But
one of them was moving to our dream location here.
Oh,
like,
man.
We don't have to go into that, but like, it was one of the first times I remember starting the fight. I was really angry. You
were very angry.
I was really pissed, and I let her know, and we went at each other's throats. But it wasn't. I never attacked her personally. She never attacked me personally. There's this understanding that even though you're having this heated disagreement, you still respect the other person and you still love the other person. And so that, like, a lot of the times, that is what communication looks like. And I feel like people avoid that because they think it's not healthy to fight or disagree. So you just leave that alone. But that's the last thing you should do.
Too.
That thing festers and it grows, and it'll grow into this thing that just eats away and cannibalizes your entire relationship. And we've seen it happen, like with our friends and and stuff. And so you have to,
communication is the most
because people
thing.
think like, oh, I shouldn't be yelling at my spouse, or I shouldn't, we shouldn't let a conversation elevate to this degree. But as long as you're not attacking them personally, I think it's healthy to speak your mind.
I will say this though, and this I completely agree with you with all of that about the best friendship being the foundation, and how that has really, like, even at the end of the day of like some of those gnarly fights, like the one about us moving up here, like even at the end of that day, and like I was hurt, I was sad that I had hurt you, and like you were really ticked off at me. But I remember, like, at the end of that day, like we both got into bed, like we held hands, we kissed each other goodnight, we said we love you. Like, it was at the core, at the foundation, there's this best friendship that's like, no matter what, I will still always be here for you and I will always love you. But I will say that at the beginning of our relationship, you naturally invite debates.
True.
And like
debates.
Not conflict so much, but like just this.
No, an exchange of ideas.
Trying
to understand the other person, and it can get heated.
So you love this, like you will invite this. You think it's great, like you embrace this because it's fun for you. I remember when we were first married, and it would like we'd have a discussion, or like we'd have a heated discussion, and I would feel completely destroyed on the inside. Not because of anything that you said, but because of my personality, and because I'd never like I'd never had that before, where someone could have a heated discussion with me or like get frustrated with me, but then also show this true like love and respect for me as a person,
right?
And like not have it be connected,
completely separate that. Like, the differing point of views from your respect for that person,
right? Exactly. So I remember, if it's not at this point, like I remember, you know, you were very gentle in like how you would communicate with me, and also not just communicating in that way, but making sure that you were reassuring me and saying like, babe, like, I know that this is really uncomfortable for you, or like this is hard for you to hear because, you know, you probably feel this, but I just want to reassure you that like it's not that at all. This is completely separate to who you are as a person, and blah blah blah. You know, like you were very good at reassuring that. So if that's you, like if you're me who doesn't like that conflict, like it kind of would tear me up inside a little bit at first, until I kind of got used to that, or like realized and became confident that you weren't attacking me as a person. Like, make sure you're communicating that with the person, please.
Yeah, that's true, because I remember specifically sometimes you would ask me like, is this like, do you still love me, like, am I,
yeah,
you know, are you attacking me as a person, those sort of things. And it was like, yeah, like, of course I...
And now, like, I remember it would, like, blow your mind. You're like, what? How could you even think that?
Like,
and I'm
that
like,
doesn't change.
That's just how I interpret things. So you have to make sure that you're, like, recognizing how the other person is interpreting something, and kind of, you know, help them realize, okay, this is not how I want you to take it. This is how I want you to take it. And, like, help them along with it. And I've even had to do that with you. Like, it's not just a one-way thing. Like, I've definitely had to communicate and say certain things to you to make you realize, like, this is not such and such. This is blah.
Right. No, I do definitely remember that. And it was just a matter of bringing you to the point to understand that, yeah, the debate and the heated discussion, the fight was completely separate from my respect and love for you.
Right.
And
it's like, it also got you to the point to be able to communicate differently too.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean, you know, but that's I feel like some people, they would encounter that situation and you would just be like, no, you can't talk to me like that, and we can't interact like this because I feel like you don't love me. It's not healthy for a relationship. And then I would just back off and say like, okay, I won't, because this feels like I'm attacking you, and like I'm not being a good husband or something like that. And then there's just this divide that just grows and grows by the day, especially if there's something you don't agree on. Again, it just sort of festers and grows into this little issue that starts small, grows into this big thing, and then you have two people that have all these issues they need to work through, but there's sort of this barrier in communication because they don't feel like they can really kind of communicate what they're actually thinking, which could be ugly. Like it could be not very palatable for the other person to receive.
Yeah.
And that's something like you have to catch that sort of thing at such an early stage and train wherever you're both at. You have to train yourselves into being able to give and receive that sort of unpalatable dialogue, because it's important that you communicate. And that, I guess that was my point. We're talking a lot again about communication. You need to communicate, and a lot of people, I feel like, think that it's all like roses and fairies, you know, it's all just like this polite communication to one another, and it's, you know, it's all feel good. But it's not. Like, it includes the really ugly, just gnarly stuff that's on your mind that you just need to get out there to the other person. And if you can find a way, if you can do that while still both of you know that you still respect the other person, you love the other person, and the sole reason for this kind of gnarly communication is to better the relationship and get on the same dang page, then that's where the sort of the success lies. And so...
And you could go even further and say, like, use I feel statements, and, like, we could go
yeah, I mean, it helps, like, we play, like, there's something called, it sounds stupid, I've talked about it before, called the listening game. Yeah,
we did it a lot.
Yeah, it's like if I had a frustration, I would tell Tay, I would just sort of, you know, vomit all these words out and things that I'm feeling out towards her.
Because when we were first married, it took you a really long time to realize how a certain thing or situation made you feel. I think more in tune to how things make me feel or certain situations, and I'm quicker to say like, oh, I don't like that, or that made me feel like this. And it would take you sometimes days to like realize that something really ticked you off. And so I think the important thing too is to remember, like, if your significant other is trying to communicate with you, don't like criticize them because they maybe aren't communicating effectively yet, because that was something that we worked on with you, is just like being able to recognize when things ticked you off or when things made you, sad or frustrated, quicker. And that, I mean, again, ultimately that comes with being in tune with how you feel and being in tune with your own emotions and thoughts. But
Right.
Again, it can go lots of different directions.
But what I said, I think when anybody asks me, like, if somebody were to ask me, like, what is the secret to a successful marriage?
Communication.
I would say communicate, but
and
I would
best
say
friends.
Yeah, I would say at the end of the day, it's being best friends. Because think about, if you have a best friend, think about your relationship with them. Like, you're able to do that stuff. You're able to like tell them like, hey, you're acting like a dumbass right now, and
you're really making me mad right now.
And you're making me mad, and you need to shape up, and you need to get yourself together.
Yeah.
And that's what best friends do. They tell the hard truth, and if the other person is worth
their salt.
Yeah, worth their salt, like, they'll be like, okay, like, I need to shape up, I need to get my act together. And then, they're the next one to tell you to do the same thing. And that's sort of how you are with best friends. And that's how we are. That's how we are. And
it's our united front. You've probably heard him talk about a united front before, but that's what it means.
Yeah, and so that for us has just been the key. Like, and then again, it's also this idea of you always sort of want to be with that person and hang out with that person. Like, we could have the gnarliest fight and not even come to a conclusion with it, but we just get too tired and we're just like, hey, you want to go like make some popcorn and watch a movie or something? Like, you still want to hang out with them after you put all the fighting aside. And
it's that one. It's like that one meme.
Which one?
The one meme. It's like the otter. Shalane and Ken sent it to me one day, and they're like, "This is totally you, Tay." And it was like the otter, and it's like looking away, and it's like when you're really ticked off at someone, but you still like love them or something, and it's like looking away, but it has its finger pointing towards the person to like touch and like hold.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that. So that in a nutshell, that's what I would tell anybody has made our relationship successful at a very simplistic level, is that best friendship. But there again, something we'll go into really quick, and then we'll close this down, and we could do a whole episode on the next thing we're about to talk about. But we have, it could sound a little cheesy.
No.
But we do have a system sort of involved in our relationship too that does help us stay on track.
That's true.
So we have something called our shield. And this is something that I had set up for our relationship back when we were right when we were engaged.
No, first dating.
Oh, when we were first dating. And it is essentially a list of
our core values for our relationship.
Yeah, well, it's a list of sort
standards.
of tenets, really, in our relationship. And we call them our standards, and we call it the shield because this is the cheesy part, because it shields our love from all this other.
Oh, that's cute.
It's too cheesy for me. It really is. No, it's too cheesy. But
you're the one that created it.
Yeah, well, okay. Well,
yeah,
it's a list of tenets, and so we could, if people wanted to, we could share them online, but I'll go through them just really briefly because we need to wrap this up. One is a standard of communication, and we have these, like, I'm reading this off of a framed, it's a framed piece of paper. Standard of communication: we continually communicate in a healthy and authentic way. Aside from texting, when we are talking, we eliminate all distractions so that we can fully focus and understand what the other is saying. Mm-hmm. So that is one tenet of our relationship. Standard of health: we individually practice the 8 laws of health, and set goals to stay healthy and fit for each other. In a nutshell, is what that says. Standard of sharing. We share everything. If one of us knows or likes a certain thing, the other learns about it or finds something to like about it so that we can enjoy it together. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going through a couple of them. Standard of growth. We meditate daily, read one chapter in a book. Where is that?
I need to update it.
That's not even in the original one.
I know, but
no. We don't even meditate daily anymore.
But we need to update it because we need spiritual growth.
No, I'm
gonna
read some other ones. We have to still work on some of these now.
7 years strong.
Standard of building up. We never put each other down in any way or in any circumstance, even in joking. Instead, we constantly look for ways to build each other up publicly and privately.
That's a big one.
Standard of honesty. At all times and in all instances, we are truthful and honest towards each other. And if one of us feels like there's an issue that is causing creeping separateness, which is a term that we've used to call, again, like I described, these little issues that seem really little at the time, but they slowly sort of create this distance in a very slow way that you don't notice until all hell breaks loose. Let's see. And if one of us feels like there's an issue that is causing creeping separateness in the relationship, they confront the other about it as soon as possible. So again, this concept of authentic communication, even if it's ugly, towards each other. I mean, we know people that would barely tell each other that the other person's breath stinks because they haven't brushed their teeth. And it's like that to me is just ridiculous.
That's fake.
It's like, no, like your breath stinks. Go brush your teeth. And you need to be able to say that to your spouse, and they need to be able to take it. Because it's in love and it's in respect. It's like, yeah, I want to kiss you or whatever, but your breath stinks, and like you're just helping them be a better human being, and the other person needs to be able to take that, be humble enough to take that, and realize. And again, that's just a small example of something that could be a larger issue. Like, hey, you need to go to counseling. Like, you need to shape up. This is affecting our relationship.
Right.
So we're going to spend the money. You're going to take the time. You're going to go and figure yourself out. So it stops affecting us negatively.
Yeah, for sure.
So those are some of these standards that we have for our relationship. And every month, and we miss some months, but every month on the first Wednesday of every month, which is Wednesdays are usually our date night, we sit down and we basically just read through these together and we communicate, how do we feel like we're doing here? And so if Tay feels like, I haven't been like standard of sharing, like that I haven't been being interested enough in the things she's doing, or finding something to like about the things she's doing, then we communicate and talk about that and
how can I
come
do
with
that
a plan
better
and a solution and stuff. And that's really important because we've talked about it, before. It's like you really need to, this creeping separateness can really damage a relationship if one person is, say, super interested in a particular subject and putting a lot of time and effort towards that, and the other person is just not. I mean, that's just a recipe for you sort of growing apart. And so we always try to stay connected in those aspects. Like I really like skydiving, and I want to sort of pursue that, get my A license, and make that happen. Tay wants nothing to do with that, and it hasn't happened yet. But I know that you would be at least willing to come to the drop zone with me and like just hang out for the day while I do jumps and
totally.
Hang out at the bar or whatever.
Wow.
I don't know, like just talk with some people down there.
Oh yeah, totally.
At this particular drop zone, there's a bar. No drinking if you're actually jumping, but obviously. But
God, I'd hope
I just know like you'd at least be there and be interested in it, even though you wouldn't do it yourself, and you might not like that I'm doing it necessarily, but you'd at least be there,
It's true.
Anyways, so
I would.
Those standards, if we're meeting every month, and we've gotten sort of bad at that, it's more like every quarter now, but we've gotten pretty good at them too. You can maybe ease off of it the longer you get into your marriage, but we meet on those on a semi-regular basis and discuss them. Or if the relationship is we see it sort of taking a dive for whatever reason, then this is sort of what we come back to. Because if we're following all these, then we're having a successful relationship. And if we're missing a few of them, that's when you can sort of begin to feel this creeping separateness, and that's when we need to do something about it. So
That's good.
And at the end of the day, if any of you are listening and you're building a business or a project or a blog or a YouTube channel or a freaking just, whatever the heck kind of project you're building, like, you're setting goals, you're thinking about it, you're putting effort towards it, and you're always trying to improve. And why shouldn't you be doing that with your relationships constantly, as well as your businesses and your career and everything? And that's sort of where our thinking is. And so I will, we will leave you with that. And I don't know, is there anything else? Anything else you want to say?
I think you covered it. It was perfect.
Great. Well, I hope this is helpful to some people. If you would like to talk any more about this or connect with us one-on-one, you can reach out to me at Kylon@successfuldropout.com, or just go to successfuldropout.com, and there's several ways to get a hold of me. Definitely join the Facebook group, and if you want to hear any more about different things regarding relationships, we could definitely do another episode and dive into some real specifics on some of the stuff we've talked about.
For sure.
Or what have you. Yeah. So with that, we will say stay hungry, stay foolish.